And we're back in Studio K, sitting here with Thomas Abban. Thomas, how you feeling after that performance?
Feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much for coming in. I can say that this is a first for us. Having, just to explain, I feel like this is a very visual thing that just happened here. It's too bad that our listeners weren't here in this room with us, but that was one person that just gave that performance there. Thomas, do you want to kind of explain your setup for the people listening?
I got a guitar and a voice, and then I got a drum machine on my guitar, and then like a kick drum down at my foot.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so you were telling me before we went on air about how you used to kind of like tap on your guitar, and that kind of was upgraded to the drum machine that you now have attached to your guitar. How has that kind of changed your live performance, adding that?
It's allowed me to get a lot more power out of the performances. The acoustic is good and everything, but one thing acoustic doesn't really sound good, like in my opinion, is when it has distortion.
Right.
So you're kind of limited to that clean sound, and then also a lot of sound guys at venues didn't really know how to handle the system. It had a microphone in it and all that, and had a lot of feedback. So this was just better. I could get the distortion and have it sound good, and have a really big electronic drum sound as well, and synth too.
Yeah, totally. And tell me about like the learning curve for the drum machine, because you have like 7 things going on at once. It's really surprising that you can pull all of that off. But yeah,
I'm still trying to figure out like what my ability level is on it.
Yeah.
So I kept it pretty simple in terms of what I was playing. Most of the songs that I've kind of put onto this have been songs that I knew or that I had written with that percussive style in mind. So I already had kind of some of the coordination. It was just a matter of switching it to fingers instead of like palms and hitting the body,
Yeah.
So it was kind of there. So a little bit less of a learning curve than if I just jumped in straight up cold,
Yeah, totally. Are there still like new features of that drum machine that you're exploring and could be added?
Yeah, I'm trying to get as much out of it as possible just to see. There's always a really fine line between I think between like innovation and gimmicks,
Right,
and
sure.
that was a big reason I stopped playing that acoustic style is, well, one, I got a band, so it kind of doesn't make a lot of sense to play drums when you have a drummer.
Right.
I stopped for that reason, and I also felt it was becoming a little too gimmicky. And I mean, right now this is pretty new to me, so I'm not burnt out on it. So it makes a lot of sense when I'm by myself. It's about making it actually function well in a live setting with a band. That's like the next kind of thing I'm trying to figure out.
So you still use it with a live band?
Yeah, on a few songs. But yeah, it still requires some tempering and some honing.
Yeah, totally. Tell me about your band, because I know that you have been performing a lot with them out. So who's in the band, and what's the instrumentation like?
On bass guitar, I've got Ethan Yeshaya. On percussion, I have got Jamani Buckner, and then on drums, I have L.A. Buckner. So it's a quartet. I'm on guitar. Yeah.
Cool. And how did you assemble those 3 people? How did that come together?
I met L.A. around the time I was recording my first record, and then we started playing together. Just he and I doing shows as a duo, and then
really?
Cool. He introduced me to Ethan because they had played together, and then Germani is his cousin. So as of December, he's been in the band.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And do they have any input in terms of songwriting, or are they just kind of your backing band?
I don't like that term backing band as much, but no, it's my music, and I'm directing it and coordinating it, but they obviously bring what they bring. I don't. I mean, in some ways, I'm telling them what to play, but it would be foolish for me to try and tell them like literally what to play. That's why they're there, is because they I like their style, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know LA to be a jazz drummer too. So
Yeah.
are there like jazz elements that are somehow making their way into your music, or does he kind of hold it back when playing with you specifically?
Well, I think I have a small amount of jazz
Yeah.
DNA in me
Yeah.
anyway, so there is that just inherently.
Mm.
I try and push, well, specifically LA more for the like kind of African influences. He's very much into that, as am I.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's great to have musicians where the main job is like carving off stuff instead of trying to figure out how to get them to add things, you know.
Totally. That's great. Awesome. All right. Well, let's talk about what you just played. We had a 4-song set. You started with Blue Men. You were telling me that that's unreleased. It's not necessarily new, but it's unreleased.
Yep.
Right. Cool.
Yep.
And are you releasing it soon by chance?
I think so. It's a song I wrote when I was maybe, I don't know, like 13 or 14.
Oh,
I didn't obviously use the electronic thing, but I had a acoustic hitting at the time. And it's a song I had completely forgotten about until someone at a show who had been at a show a long time ago asked me about that song, and then I've been kind of working on it in the studio. So I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Your second song was Truly Loved You. That's off of your latest EP, Deep Winter. I feel like in the middle of that set, so on either side of the set, we had a pretty, it was like strong, powerful songs. Then in the middle, it was more sentimental, more emotional. I like the way you did that. But the whole record, Deep Winter, is more emotionally transparent, I would say. Was there like a specific life event that inspired that record, or is that just where you were at?
I mean, if anything, that this incredibly long winter that
totally.
we just had. But no, I mean, just the desire to put something out, to do something, and then, yeah, just figuring out which song should be on it, and it just came out the way it came out, and it came, yeah, like you say, I think it was a little more emotional, I would say. Yeah.
It kind of sounds like a breakup album in some ways. Like in some of the songs, it seems like you're moving on from something. But
yeah, well, I think we all are in a way, aren't we?
I love it. I love it. That's great. Yeah. Okay. So then High Moon was the next one. That was from Spiritualizer, correct?
Yes.
You got a sprinkling of all of your records, and then
I guess
a new
so.
one.
Yeah.
That's great. Did you do that on purpose, or was
No,
that
I didn't. But yeah, that's true. Actually, unreleased, latest, last, and then middle. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, and then we ended things with Echo, which is off of Ashik's Legacy. That's one of my personal favorites of yours.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. You released that when you were 21 years old?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
And tell me about the figure of the Sheik. Why was that part of the album's name?
I'm trying to think now. I think it was just a powerful image to me, that kind of Middle Eastern prince or like warlord, like living in the desert. A lot of that record felt like coming back from the desert in a way. And the Sheik, I don't know how that popped in my head, because it's not really like that's part of my world or anything like that. But it seemed to fit, and I like the symbolism of it. You know?
Cool. I feel like in your sound, you do have somewhat of like an Eastern sound sometimes, like whatever it is, if it's like the harmonic minor or whatever. But like, is that part of your vocabulary, like part of your listening maybe?
I love that stuff. I think maybe like at least listeners or music appreciators in the West don't realize is how all of that stuff has its roots in African music, particularly West African music. Like to the unknowing ear, you could play them something from Mali or something, and they would probably think it was Indian or Middle Eastern or something. But yeah, that's in many ways the root of all of that stuff. So I think I love all of that. I love Indian music, Middle Eastern music, anything that is of a different culture, and but I think in particular it's the West African thing that does it the most for me.
Yeah, totally. So I kind of want to talk about your origins, because you have an interesting origin story. You're from Wales, came over when you were 12. Is that correct?
Yeah, like 10 or 10,
Around there.
yeah,
Okay,
something like that. Yeah,
cool.
12, yeah.
And so when did your musical journey begin? Did it begin before you came to the U.S. or?
Yeah, I don't come from like a musical family. So for a long time I didn't think I did, but looking back I can see like my interest in it, but I just didn't know it. I would listen to music from a very young age but like really listen to it. So yeah, my taste, I guess, was already forming before I came here, and then I started playing guitar, and then it was all over.
Yeah, totally. And so when did you start playing out then?
13 or 14.
Wow.
Yeah, I got a monthly gig at Dunbrow's Coffee.
Oh, really? In St. Paul, or?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's my childhood spot.
Okay.
Maybe I would have seen you out
Yeah,
there.
once a month I was there. Yep.
Wow.
It was the only place I could get a show.
And you were actively looking for one then, like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, obviously, like I didn't, let alone musical connections. Certainly didn't have that, and no, obviously no family connections here or anything like that. So
Yeah.
it was just literally cold emailing people, annoying them,
Yeah.
and it usually didn't end up with anything fruitful for me. So.
Well, you got the gig at Dumbro, so that
Yes,
that means
exactly.
something.
Yeah. Well, it did.
Cool. Yeah, awesome. So I feel like you're pretty defined in your sound. You have a really unique thing going on, as I mentioned. How, like, let's see, how do I word this? So you seem pretty confident in your sound. Were you ever kind of doubtful about what you're doing in your sound in some way?
I don't know, because my whole thing was I never, I didn't come up in a musical tradition, so I never learned anything fully. I was never immersed in one way of doing anything, so the music I made was by default just like whatever I wanted. And I think by the time I started playing out, I felt secure in what I was doing.
Yeah.
So it can be a struggle in certain ways, but no, I don't think I've doubted the sound.
Okay.
No.
Cool. And I feel like from an early age, you've received quite a bit of acclaim. I guess, like I've seen articles and stuff about you, and obviously you were releasing stuff at a young age too. So did that pressure like ever get to you in terms of like the titles you were being given, like Prodigy and stuff like that?
No. It's easy come, easy go. It's like, obviously it's nice. It's nicer than them saying the opposite.
Right. Totally.
But I think it comes down to how you view all of that, because certain so one person's attention, if you don't know them, isn't any more or less valuable than another's, and that's how I see like that kind of stuff too. It's just one person saying something, even though it's nice. It's just one opinion.
Yeah, I think that's a very healthy mindset to have. Definitely. Cool. Well, another thing that I really appreciate about you as an artist is that not only do you make music, but you make visual pieces that go with the music. Tell me about the process of like translating a song into a visual piece, because you make a lot of music videos. What is that like for you?
It's very similar to the musical element, in that all creativity comes from the same place. I'm even though I don't obviously do a lot of other mediums, I'm certain that the people that do those feel the same way that I do, and video is just one medium. So it just kind of, it's usually triggered by the song, listening to it, having images come, and then it's trying to figure out a way to do it, with limited resources and whatever's at hand at that particular moment.
So are those videos self-produced then?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yep. Self-directed at the and produced, I suppose. Yeah.
And to this day, like even your most recent ones, those are
Yeah.
all
Yep.
just you.
Yep.
Wow.
Just sit down and figure it out, and then like I said, work around the any limitations that may be present.
Yeah. Do you see yourself like collaborating with anyone else with those videos, or do you like the fact that it's all
Oh, I'd
you?
love to.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I'd love to. Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Cool. Um, Very cool. And another thing, I guess, it seems like you when you're performing, you kind of enter into a new um, identity. I don't know if that's the right word, but like your stage presence is theatric, I would
Sure.
say. Yeah. So is your artist identity separate from your personal identity? Would you say?
Well, actually, to be honest, I think my everyday self is more theatric,
Okay.
just to get through it.
Yeah.
I feel most myself when I'm performing because I forget that I am a self. You know, like when
Wow.
I'm recording, performing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really cool answer. I like that. Cool. All right. Well, we're getting to time now, so I want to give you a chance to talk about any releases that you have coming up, any shows, any merch drops, anything like that.
This Sunday, so Sunday, May 28th, I'm performing at the Hewing Hotel rooftop. The show is at 7 p.m.
Very cool. And any new projects coming out anytime soon?
I'll have an album out sometime in September,
Oh, great.
and probably some singles before then.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely we'll be looking forward to that. Thank you so much. One last question. It's kind of a fun question that I ask everyone who comes through here. So I want you to build a dream bill for yourself. You are on it. So you get 3 other artists to perform with you. You could give me a venue too if you want, but tell me who else is playing with you and what the order of the lineup is.
Man.
Dead or alive too.
Dead or alive? Oh, okay. That makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
I would probably, let's see. I wouldn't have an order to it. I would have an ensemble. So it'd probably be Beethoven and James Brown. I think that could be cool. And then, I mean, I would be that too because I guess it would be my show.
Right.
Maybe like Fela Kuti or something like that.
Wow.
I think that kind of big band thing mixed with a classical element mixed with a little bit of rock would be an interesting mixture.
I think that's one of the best answers I've gotten. You took the dead or alive thing to a further extent.
Yeah, I'm
most.
afraid they're all very dead, apart from me. But
Right.
yeah.
Wow. I would buy tickets to that. In a heartbeat. Do you have a venue in mind?
Oh, probably some kind of like orchestra hall or something like
Okay.
that. Something cavernous. Yeah.
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 That's great. All right.